still to go. We're going to look at the Outfitters Treehouse, a 2-month review, and see how my build has changed since I first got it. So it's been just over 2 months since I picked up my Outfitters Treehouse on February 27th. It's currently May 1st of 2020. A lot has gone on since then. We almost live in a whole new world. The pandemic's gone on. I graduated college. I've moved 2,000 miles out west. So huge landscape change for me. And in that time, I've spent, not full time, but anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week in this. Now, I do full time out of a travel trailer. I did pull the travel trailer from North Carolina over to the current desert Southwest where I'm located right now. But once I got here and got established, I've pretty much just gone out into the desert in the middle of nowhere, within a small radius of where I'm kind of based out of, doing some exploring, some excessive social distancing, and I've changed quite a few things from my original build out, the last video that I had inside the treehouse, and then I've had a couple of small issues with the treehouse, so let's go over that right now. So the first thing with the treehouse is the struts and the latches. So the latches are good, but however, they did not use Loctite, and so these nuts, you have to make sure they stay tight or use Loctite, which I put Loctite on them. But I did lose a nut, and I did lose one of these little latches here. They sent me a new one out immediately. I got it within a couple of days. It seems as if all of the latches they use on their tree houses, this is number 37, so there's probably only about 40 or maybe 43 out in the world right now. But it seems like the latches they use are all keyed the same, so I guess my key would work on someone else's treehouse. It's kind of the way it seems. So they sent that out to me. I got that replaced. As far as anything else goes, the only other issue I've had on the doors have been this one here. The weather sealant doesn't quite seal right here. Lets in just a little bit of water, not a whole lot. They did send me out some new sealer that's just kind of crimps on here, and it's got like a bulb seal on it. But it wasn't an issue of the seal not sealing properly. In terms of the seal itself, it was there's a little bit of extra distance on this one window, and so what they told me was just kind of take a small mallet and kind of beat this out just a little bit, not beat it out, but just kind of bend this, because these pieces right here, aluminum, and they're malleable, and it was just a millimeter or less difference that I needed to make a change on. As far as the doors go, also the other thing that has happened is this one door, and only this door. These gas struts here on this one are a little weak. I don't know if it's one or both. I'm assuming it's probably just one. And so as wind hits, it'll kind of knock it down just about, not about to right here, whereas the other ones don't do that. They are going to send out new gas struts for these. The windows, they've all done good. I keep them open pretty much all the time unless it's inclement weather. But they are supposed to have a stopper on the top and the bottom, and some of them have one stopper, but not all stoppers. It was not really the fault of the Snap Outfitters. It was the manufacturer they got it from, and they're also sending me the stoppers because these windows do kind of wiggle a little bit, and so if you're driving down rough terrain, they can bounce around, and I want to make sure that they don't break on me, which I don't think they will. Other than that, the windows have been, I haven't had any issues. The C-poles, there are C-poles on here. This is designed to be on a travel trailer or something like that, to where it's usually vertical and they don't move up or down. There's some little C-poles that have these little rubber pieces in them, but when you do lift it up, or because these are kind of at an angle, the top C-poles here, if you don't seal them off with some silicone or something, they can get a small little leak coming in there, but again, very, very small leak. And this is, again, just kind of a 2-month review. I'm going to cover the bad things first. Not the bad things, but the issues I've had first, and then we're going to go into the other stuff. I will say that I'm 100% satisfied with this, and every time I've had any issue, and the issues that I have had have been rather, microscopic. Snap Outfitters has been over backwards, have sent me, have troubleshooted it, answered me immediately, and sent me any parts that I needed almost overnight. The next issue for me, although technically it's not an issue at the fault of Snap Outfitters, is going to be the gas struts on the main lid. So the gas struts on the main lid are 140 pounders, and I have about 140 pounds up here right now. However, on their website, they say that it can be in the open position and support 100 pounds. So I'm technically 40 pounds over, although most of that extra 40 pounds is up front, which up front is where you want all your extra weight and most of your weight anyways, just because of the way this lifts up. During warm weather, that's not an issue, but during cooler weather and at elevation, I have had some sagging with the 2 kayaks and the traction boards, 4 traction boards I have up here. Hasn't come down, even in winds it hasn't come down, it's just sagged a little bit. And so for peace of mind, what I've done is I've ordered the same company that makes the ones that they put on here. I ordered 180 pounders. It's the same exact strut, they just fill it to a different capacity. So I'll keep these right here, and if I want, I can send them back for 20 bucks a pop. They'll change the pressure on them. I also ordered a tool so that if that 180 pounds is too much, you can let the pressure out. And so you can let the pressure out, you just can't put it back in. To put it back in, you have to send it to the manufacturer. But again, like I said, I have 140 pounds on here. Now, in warmer weather, and I've got a bunch of moths right now out here in the desert. There's about a 2 or 3 week part of the spring season where there's a bunch of moths or butterflies, and so butterflies really haven't been out much, but the moths have been crazy. And even if I sweep them out, I don't know how they're getting in here. Every morning when I open up the windows and everything, there are 20, 30, 40 moths up in the cracks. I brush them all out. I've secured the lid, and then a few hours later I'll come back out to air it out, or when I get to my next destination I'll pop it maybe that afternoon. Whole bunch of dead moths will be located right here, and I guess this is moth crap that you see. Well, I'll show you here in a minute, but right here on this, supposedly only supposed to last 3 weeks. I'm not that familiar. I have been in this area before, but I'm not 100% familiar with the desert Southwest in terms of the intricacies during the seasons. Now, again, right now they're holding just fine. The other thing about the desert is it's extremely windy, and it can come and get 1 minute it'll be just calm, a slight breeze like it is right now, and then 20 minutes later there are 50-mile-an-hour gusts. And you have to be cognizant of that whenever you park for the night in the desert. What's a beautiful location, kind of up on a small hilltop, great view, can quickly turn into a hot spot for heavy winds. And so you got to kind of either point my nose into the wind, which is what I normally do now, and all of that wind is mitigated by the aluminum top panel, and you don't even hardly notice it. It doesn't push down the top panel, even with the kayaks up there with up to 50-mile-an-hour gusts, doesn't even budge at all. Now, in the wintertime, I didn't have heavy excessive winds, but with that little bit of sag, I think it would move maybe half an inch if that, and that's why, for peace of mind, I ordered the 180 pounders, because I don't think it would come down on me. But if you're in there sleeping, you don't want this thing to come down. I've talked to Snap Outfitters about it. They're aware of it, and they are potentially going to change their the ratings on these gas shocks, because it costs the same, I think. They have to have it rated how much they want to put in there. So 740s, they may go to 160s. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. That's just a discussion I've had with them. Any issues I've had or any observations that I've had, I've been in constant communication with them just to kind of give them feedback. As someone who is using this quite frequently, anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week, 3 to 5 nights or days, I spend in this a week. And again, they've been 100% in terms of responding to me and addressing any concerns or questions I have. One other thing that I will say is this right here. This is to pull it down. Is when you're getting ready to go to bed for the night, or even when you're done, you're set up, take this and throw it up over the top, because if you do have heavy winds, this will slap all night and bug the crap out of you. So flip that up over, and then what I use is my broom. I have a small miniature broom in here that I use to just get it down. Now, in terms of the awning, the Kinsman Harbor awning I have up here, or the road shower, which is a 10-gallon version. I've had the awning, which is about 85 pounds, and the 10 gallons has been completely full. No issues. It hasn't. You don't even know they're up there. They're rock solid on this frame, and it's built like a tank. And so, unlike some of the competition out there, that's why I prefer and went with Snap Outfitters Treehouse. Just because of the build quality. Now, I think Vagabond Outdoors is one of the companies in California. and they produce one that's also like a tank as well. I've seen, there's pictures of someone rolled one and it held up just fine. They are all aluminum in terms of course this is all aluminum as well, but they're all shiny aluminum, and I don't know if you can get those painted. I like the fact that you can get 4 doors with this, the way this configuration is set up, and the fact that there's 4 windows in it, and it just boiled down to configuration as to why I didn't go, and the fact that at the time I was on the East Coast and this company was in Pennsylvania. And I talked to both companies, Vagabond and Snap Outfitters. They both were really awesome in terms of responding to me. AT Overland obviously has the Summit and the Habitat. I did talk with them, and initially I had some good conversations with them. However, I did have a small run-in with Mario, the owner of AT Overland. Not a run-in, but I was going to get a Habitat, and they were going to bring it out to Expo East, and I was going to pay, cash for it right up front. Everything was good to go. They had one they'd built, and someone else backed out of it, and they said, yeah, we can just throw it on. One of the employees I talked to said, yeah, I can throw it on the back of my truck. We're coming out there. We can just pop it on yours, no problem. Mario said, oh, I'm going on vacation after Expo East. This was in 2018, I believe. I don't want to deal with it. You can either have it shipped or you can drive out and get it. We're not going to bring it. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way after I was already told it could be done. It wouldn't be a problem. I had cash in hand, and then they backed out because they were going on vacation. And so I get it, it's a luxury item, but at the same time, when you have a $14,000 truck cap as a luxury item, you should, and you're going to be driving right by somebody and you have the capability to deliver, why not deliver it? It is what it is. So anyway, just because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to give you my money if you're not willing to, work with me in what I thought was a very reasonable request. So I'm glad I found the Snap Outfitters. I didn't even hear of them until recently at Mid-Atlantic Overland Festival, and saw their product and was immediately impressed. And again, I'm 100% glad that I went. And their build times are extremely fast. They are faster than I think anyone else out there on the market right now. However, they do that because they don't aggressively market like GFC does. And anyone that knows me knows I've kind of talked crap about GFC. They have their issues. It is what it is. I'm not going to harp on GFC or say that they're horrible. They're a decent product, but I think that this is a higher caliber of product that will last you a lifetime versus GFC. I think, only get maybe, 3, 4, 5 years out of it before you have to do some major repairs, the roof or some other stuff. Rusting issues, I know they've had problems with that because they use steel and not just solid aluminum. Again, this here is a solid aluminum structure on the lid and the base, and unlike the GFC where it's just steel and then it's a composite on the top, you can't even walk on the top. Here you can load up to 350 pounds. You can walk up to 250 pounds, I think, on the roof. And so it just a lot better build quality. Now, if you take a look inside, you'll notice that it looks dramatically different. The last video you saw, and probably the last Instagram picture you saw from inside, there was a big countertop right here that I had cut out and stained and put in, and that worked okay actually. So it was supposed to be a countertop and also a third sleeping platform, because you can sleep 2 comfortably up here and really only 2 comfortably up there. Maybe 1 adult and 2 children, but I think 2 people, regardless if it's adult or a child, is kind of all you can really sleep comfortably up there. Now, I think there's plenty of room for 2 full-size adults, that you won't be hitting each other, elbowing each other, anything like that. But the reason I built the counter was mainly for sitting in here, cooking in inclement weather, and for the sleeping platform. It was more of a cool guy thing, really, and I found it not to be that functional. So I just recently pulled it out and redid a few things in here. The diesel heater is still here, and I moved the tank. The tank was obviously part of the countertop. I moved the tank to the back, as well as the water pump, and then I also put my 30-gallon water tank in here where I was running 2 7-gallon aquatainers. The rest of the setup is pretty much the same. Although I did go to these Mountain Smith cubes, and so it's a pack of 4 cubes, and they come in different colors, and I have a total of 16 of these, and I really use 2 sets. Right now I only have 1.5 sets in here. And then I've got my kitchen, my food bags, my miscellaneous bags, clothing bags, anything I need. And that's pretty much what I use it for. So let's switch over to the GoPro and have a closer look at the inside of this and talk about a couple other pros and cons of the Snap Outfitters Treehouse. So I had a couple of questions on YouTube and Instagram and some other places about the Treehouse. So I'm going to take this opportunity real quick to go ahead and just answer a couple before we go and talk about more of the interior. David, on one of my YouTube videos, put a rather lengthy comment asking quite a few questions. And he says, when the bed is up, does it block the airflow to the fan? Yes and no. It does and it doesn't. You could technically use it. So some about the Fantastic Fan, that's an option. I believe it's a $300 option, maybe $350 option. I can't remember the exact pricing. And when you put the platform up, it does partially block it in terms of me viewing it right here. But if you look up here, you can technically use it. You still get airflow through here. So even if this, because I have the bedding the way I have it set up, I have pillows ran down the center, and I have quite a bit of bedding up here. When I put it in the up position, it doesn't go up as far as it technically could, maybe an inch or two difference. But so you can still technically use it. So one of the things you could probably ask them to do would be to pull this back 6 inches to put it right here, if that was a concern. Next question he asked, he says, other campers on this market have the bed platform split in two, so you can slide the panel over the truck bed or over to one side of the cab, and the mattress folds in two, leaving the entire truck bed area open for standing height. I think I would prefer that setup as it creates another high seating area. Another thing is I'm taller and the bed is long, and I have an email to the company asking if they would make the bed platform a little longer, but after watching you squeeze between the back of the camper and the bed platform to get up there, I don't think that's going to be possible unless they split the bed into two. So that was quite a lot, but basically what he was saying is that he likes it to where, for example, GFCs, they're modular, basically sections that you pull in and out, and then you can have half the bed up there to sit or half the bed not to sit. So right now, the bed platform is in the up position, and I can stand all the way up. And if I go even back here, I can stand all the way up. So it doesn't hinder you standing up at all with the bed platform in the up position. And you don't have to, in my opinion, I like this setup better because you don't have to stack panels. The other thing he says, he wants to create a sitting platform. I don't ever sit in here. Either I'm outside, or if I am sitting in here, it's down here. I never sit up top. And so when you do pull it down, so here's my shoulder width on each side. And so coming right here, I have one full shoulder width coming up and down. There's no squeezing into it. It is right, the panel is right here, but there's no squeezing into it. Now I don't have the ladder that came with it on here. I took it out, it's in storage, and I have this telescoping ladder that goes, I think, to 14 feet. I thought this would be a better option because I could also use it to access the roof and just have a ladder that would go 14 feet always with me. Honestly, I really think that I'm gonna put this in storage next time I'm in North Carolina and pull the ladder that goes in here back out. It's plenty sufficient, and this is nice to have, but I like the fact that the other ladder snaps in here, and then it comes up here, you secure it with this, and then it holds this extra material up. So the material being down doesn't really bother me, but I thought that this ladder would be more versatile, which it technically is, but I don't really need it. The ladder that came with the unit is plenty. And so you don't have to squeeze up in here. You can sit right here on this platform if you need to. And so, I mean, I can sit just like this, and I'm just fine. So if you want to sit up here, you could. It's just, this is obviously has to be in the down position. I see what he's saying. If maybe this was, you took these out and you could sit up there, or if it was ran this way, you could sit on one side and stand up on the other. For me personally, I like this design. It's just easy, you don't have to worry about it. You're not fiddling with panels. You can get a panel section that closes this in right here. I didn't opt for it. I don't need it. I thought about getting it, but I think it would just get in the way, because if I want to hop down in the middle of the night and go pee, I literally just come up here like this, hop down the ladder, and then I've got my porta potty, or if I'm gonna go outside, I just hop outside. As far as distance and sleeping, so I am 5 foot 10 inches, and with my pillow all the way back here, and there's a little cubby hole back here as well in the very, very back. But whoops, with me all the way back, and so it's right here. This is all the way back. If I lean up, I don't hit. And my feet are right here. So they're technically on the bed, and I'm 5 foot 10 inches. Now, I actually prefer my feet hanging off a little bit. I prefer to have my feet down. I don't know why. That's just, even on a regular king size bed, a regular, you know, household bed, I always would scoot down and hang my feet off. So it doesn't bother me a bit. I think that you could sleep comfortably up here up to 6 foot, over 6 foot. I think they can make this a little bit longer for you. It's just a request and something you have to talk to Snap Outfitters about. Also, you can get the additional insert. I think it's 2 pieces that insert right there. And it's got a cutout for where the USB ports, the 12-volt port, and the power source is, and for where the ladder connects. So it does make it a longer sleeping platform, and you can just pull it in and out. But again, I don't really need it and think it's necessary. So for me, there's plenty of space. I did have the cold weather insert in here. I did opt for it. It's a $600 option. It's basically synthetic insulation that they have sewed to the exact measurements. That just velcros in. It works. I think it has value. If you have a heater, I have a diesel heater, which is right down there, and it blows out. I don't really think that I need it. Maybe it'll make the diesel heater more efficient, but it's definitely, it adds value. If I had to buy it again, I probably wouldn't get the insulation. It's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things to where, you know, this thing actually stays fairly cool and fairly warm. So when it's in the winter, it stays fairly warm, and when it's so far in the summer, you know, right now it's currently 80 degrees, but yesterday it was 99 degrees. There was a heat wave that kind of came through, and I've had nights in it. The hottest temperatures have been around 70 to 80 degrees at night. Granted, I've had heavy winds, so with these windows open, there's a huge amount of air coming through. I haven't had any issues so far. I do have an additional, so I have the Fantastic fan, which I can't use right now because my kayaks are in the way and I can't lift it up. I can barely open it. So it opens just a hair, you see that? But I can't, you have to open it a certain amount for the fan to kick on. It's an automatic fan, so if you have it on 3, it'll kick on, but it only kicks on once it reaches, oh, there it goes. So yeah, I can barely, I don't know what's going on. I think because I barely have it open. Oh, yeah, it went to start and then turned itself off. So I can't open it enough to kick the fan on constantly. There we go. All right, so I can. It's just right at that edge where it's hitting my kayaks. So that's actually, yeah, so that's actually pulling some air out. I thought I couldn't open it far enough, but I really didn't try that hard. So I will crack it sometimes, and then I'll take these down. The design on these windows, they're okay, they're decent. I mean, when you take them down, and I just roll these up, I'm doing it one-handed, so obviously, and I stick it down in here, and it's not a big deal. I'm back and forth. The Velcro works. I kind of wish they would have meant zippers on all 3 windows, but the thing about a zipper, if it breaks on you, you're kind of screwed, whereas the Velcro, it's never going to break on you. So in terms of having, they do have zippers here, and then I usually roll this up. Oops, I usually roll this up and just shove it down in here, and then I'll put this up, and there you go. And then again, I roll this up and put it down there. The other day I was parked up on a ridge sideways to the wind, and I had 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds coming in this way. So after about 2 hours of that, and it was kind of shaking the whole truck, this was solid up here. It didn't budge, didn't move a bit. And this was, you know, kind of being blown in just a little bit. But the windows didn't open or didn't fail or anything with 40 mile/hour sustain coming in. I eventually did get out at 3 o'clock in the morning and turn my nose into the wind, and that, you know, then you wouldn't even realize it was windy. Other than my kayak straps, let me turn this off. My kayak straps, and this does make a difference, by the way. We're making this woo sound because the wind was so strong, but the window design is good. There's been some people complain about this window here, or lack of. So Snap Outfitters didn't put a window here. They claim that it causes too many problems in terms of like the durability of the material, leakage for the window. They've said several things. It's fine with me. It doesn't bother me a bit. Again, I don't hang out up here. I hang out outside the truck, or in the bottom of the truck. If I'm up here, I mean, I have, let me rephrase it. I have hung out here a couple of times, you know, watch a movie or something, or just kind of scrolling through Instagram on my phone, laying down, just kind of taking a nap, I guess you could say. But it hasn't been anything to where I'm like, oh, I really wish I had this huge window right here with a view. Would it be nice? Sure, it'd be nice, but is it, you know, that big of a deal? Not to me. You know, some people are just sticklers on this. I actually prefer it not having a window because I think it will give it longevity. And I think that in heavy weather conditions, it's just one less point of ingress for water or any other issues. So for me, again, I don't have any problems. The window system works great for me. And yeah, you just put the Velcro up here just like that, and you're done. So yeah, no issues with the windows, no issues with the material. And like I said, I've had massive winds on this thing, multiple nights, turned sideways, forward, backwards, all kinds of different directions. And the only thing, like I said, is that handle, make sure you put it up top, because it'll do that all night, and you'd be like, but once you do that, throw it up there. Oh, and if you do throw it up there and you try to go through the window and get it, make sure you don't try to pull yourself up. I know this sounds stupid. I did it. Make sure you don't try to pull yourself up, because one night or one morning I was trying to get that back down, and so I reached up and tried to pull myself down, and it started to come down on me. It won't collapse until you get to about, you know, right here. It won't start coming on its own. I was like, oh crap, and then I kind of pushed it back up. So all right, so let's talk about one of the other issues that's apparently I'm the only person that's had this issue, and that is condensation buildup in these LED lights. Now they both work. It hasn't caused any problems, but all 4 of my LED lights, which these do red and white, have condensation buildup. And this one in particular actually has so much condensation buildup that, you see that water in there? I've talked to him. I'm the only person that's had this issue, and you know, so I don't know. It hasn't rained for about 2 weeks here, and the condensation issues came after the rain, not during the rain. At first they thought maybe it was leaking. I've checked the seals on this up top. The roof is not leaking. It's literally just condensation buildup. And what I'm going to do is just drill a small hole in here to relieve the so to allow the passages of air. They said obviously that it shouldn't do this, and they're trying to figure out why it's doing it, and they want to create a solution, a fix, basically, you know, for their, you know, other customers in the future, and then they're willing to replace these. But as long as I can drill a hole and fix the problem, I'm not going to worry about it. But all 4, if you look at this one, you see the condensation buildup is like a haze in there. It looks like it's frosted, but it's not. It's just condensation buildup. If you look at this one, you can see that line right there. So that's something that's weird. Again, it hasn't really impacted it. I haven't shorted anything out. The power runs into here, and then for me, I have the power ran right now it's on vehicle batteries, because I have a diesel. I have 2 batteries, and it's ran to this, and then that runs to my diesel batteries. Now what I am going to be doing is I am going to be in fact, I just talked to Battleborn. So I talked to Lion batteries, lithium batteries. I've tried to get a hold of Dakota. So Lion is not American made, it's Chinese. They kind of advertise as being American, you know, out of Utah. It's designed and engineered in America, but it's basically manufactured in China. I don't have a huge issue with China, but if I can support American made, and especially if I can support American and veteran owned companies, I do that. And so I called them, and they didn't want to directly answer the question. They kind of hem-hawed me. It sounded like they were reading from a script. Again, this is the Lion batteries, lithium batteries. And I asked the lady, I said, "Are you reading from a script?" You know, of course, she probably thought I was an ass. And I was, "Oh, no, sir, I'm not." I'm like, "Okay, well," I said, "Are they made in the US?" "No, they're not." Okay. So after this long 2-paragraph spiel of, you know, how they're engineered in Utah and blah, 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 and the brainchild and all this, you know, the roundabout is they're not American made. Dakota batteries, they've been hitting me on Instagram in terms of like because I've been searching Google for lithium battery companies. Instagram and Facebook know, you know, obviously you just think about it, Instagram, Facebook knows. So Dakota's been popping up on my Instagram feed a lot, and so I looked at their products. They actually look good. They're very competitively priced. I started looking at reviews. The products are good, but what's bad is the customer service and delivery. So customer service, and I've tried for 2 days now to get a hold of them. Granted, we're in the COVID stuff, and so maybe that's a factor. But even before this hit, these were from reviews before all this kind of hit. They were hard to get a hold of. When you call the customer service line, it forwards it to a cell phone. Rings, and then it says, you know, it's like Verizon Wireless. They must have Verizon, because it's the same thing that you hear on a Verizon Wireless phone if they don't have their voicemail set up with a per custom message. Can't get a hold of them. Emailed them, tagged them on an Instagram post. Nothing, no back from them. So then I called Battleborn. I knew about Battleborn already. They've had a lot of exposure on YouTube, on Instagram. You know, a lot of people have used Battleborn, and so I was trying to find a little guy that was going to be quality, American made, you know, and try to help them out before I went to Battleborn. But I talked to Battleborn. They answered immediately. They're knowledgeable. I sat there and had a conversation with them. I mean, they were just on point in terms of talking to me, going through my needs, and recommending batteries, and talking about the other competition's batteries, talking about solar charge controllers, DC to DC controllers, different brands, you know, and what they've heard, and you know, and so what it comes down to is basically I'm going to get 200 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries in here, and I'm going to get the Renogy 50 amp DC to DC with solar MPPT charge controller, and so it will run solar and then DC to DC, so your batteries to it, and it will charge your batteries. And then once your batteries are topped off, it will trickle charge your main vehicle batteries with solar if your auxiliary batteries are topped off. And so it's also got, it detects when your vehicle's running and all kinds of stuff. You know, you don't have to hook up a separate ignition switch, and so it's really just a good product. They said they've known quite a few people to run it, and they can recommend it with their batteries, and their customers have had success with it. So so 2 Battleborn 100 amp hour batteries, and then the 50 amp Renogy DC to DC with solar charge controller MPPT in it, and then that will go somewhere in this kind of mess right here. So this may look messy, but really it's functional. And this right here is my 30-gallon water tank. I have it ran to a 2.9 gallon per minute flow jet water pump. Then that's also wired into this, which goes to the main house batteries. Back here I've got my diesel tank for my Chinese diesel heater. With this Chinese diesel heater, I did have a problem with the fan hitting the shroud. I sent an email to whoever I got it, Happy Buy, or I don't know, some Chinese company, and they were like, okay, and they just sent me a new one. So so I put the new one in and had no issues since. So to replace the counter, what I did is I actually got this idea from Chris Shantz, Venture Forward. You should check him out on YouTube. Really great channel. I don't know him. I mean, I've met him a couple times, but he seems like a really great guy, and so definitely check him out. But anyway, he got one of these. So I could pick this up at REI. It does have a default, or not default, a faulty snap on one end where it rolls out, and it's still functional. REI, of course, backs their stuff up. That they've been shut down, so I can't exchange it, but I'm gonna go exchange it. This table has worked out really good. I really do like this table. It doesn't have adjustable legs, but I can highly recommend it. This water tank is an Amazon water tank. It's very thick, durable. It's got a pressure release built into the cap. I really like that. That makes a huge difference. And I've just plumbed it down here with a standard household, a 3/4 threaded output. This line here into that. Propane tank back here, that is to run my shower system when I get it in. I did get with the Jilka. It's an Australian company. I am one of their brand ambassadors. And so I haven't received it yet. With the whole thing going on, they were back ordered for, you know, they're supposed to be out in April this last month, but now in May I'm supposed to get it, and then I'll have a review on that. And I've got the full Nomad kit. They've already kind of really been tried and tested in Australia, and they've been very successful. So I anticipate it's going to be a really good product. I'm a big advocate of a shower in the bush. So that's what that's for. Also, it will. I use it to refill my small tanks that I use with my JetBlue Genesis system. That's the stove system I use. I'm running the smaller Dometic porta potty. It's the one that you pump it up, and then it builds pressure. Then you do your business, and then first let out the pressure with it closed, preferably. And then you just press this button, whee, and there you go. So I only really use this if I have to. If I can dig a cat hole or use the restroom, you know, at a convenience store, which, I've been out off the grid pretty much since this whole thing is kicked off. So convenience store hasn't been a thing, but I have had plenty of desert to dig cat holes and do that. And then running the Medic 65 dual zone US, and you can see right there, that tells me that, we've shut off, well, so I think, what do I have it set at? Oh, I have it set at 27, so it's working. But every now and again, it will, the Chinese diesel heaters, it has a little thing on here, and it tells me how much my what my battery's at. And so my battery hangs around 12.1, 12.2. The lowest it gets maybe is 11.9. But sometimes just the energy saver, or the low cutoff, the low voltage cutoff will trip. But for the most part, I don't have any issues. I do have 200 watts of solar running to a PWM charge controller up front, and then I'm running everything again off my dual batteries, which I've had to replace since I got this truck. They're AutoZone gels, 80 amp hours each. I don't know the exact one, but they're AutoZone ones that are designed to be somewhat discharged, so they can be used with the high cranking amps that I need for a diesel, but also can be used and discharged. Not their primary purpose, but it will last longer than kind of the standard batteries that usually come with these. So the Snow Peak, and I'm going to do a separate review on this. This is the Snow Peak stove, or not stove, the Snow Peak fire pit slash grill. One of the best. It's extremely expensive, but one of the best investments that I have made. I use this thing almost every day to cook on, to have a fire on. I mean, it's just so convenient. It's so, packages so small. It's just, yeah, I mean, I can highly recommend it, but I'm going to do a separate review on that. I got a couple of REI chairs in here. Oh, this right here, little REI bag. This is my firewood. I just keep my firewood in this bag so I don't get splinters everywhere. And that's kind of the setup in here. I did have mine carpeted, which is an option. It's one you have to specially request. And then I have a firearm in here, and all my little patches. And oh, for the water, I do have it ran to I did have it on a drinking hose, for like an RV hose, but I had a crack in that, and so this is a kind of a quick replacement, and it's ran to, it was a kit that came with a little nozzle, and so that works for what I need it to. And so yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown. Let's see if there's any more questions on YouTube that I missed. Oh, so one other question, I kind of did touch on it, sorta. It says the extra insulation layer doesn't seem to be attached to the walls very well. It's not attached to the walls technically at all. I mean, it velcros in right here, all the way around, and then all the way around the top. So the tops and the bottom, and they meet down there. Well, there's a gap that big, but they meet up there. They're all velcroed in. So, you know, they will actually, the insulation layer will sit probably an inch to an inch and a half off of this back here, but on the sides, you know, they really, maybe the same thing. I didn't notice it. It wasn't an issue for me. I didn't really at any point say, oh, I think that, you know, insulation is sagging and it's getting in my way. I never even noticed it. The only other stuff was, some people were saying, oh, I won't buy this because it doesn't have the front window. And some other odd and end stuff that, just, you know, how do you like it so far, that type of thing. And I love it. I'm 100% happy with it. I wouldn't, the only other things I would change is, initially from the build, I would have them put 180-pound struts on the lid, and I'd have them move this back, I don't know, maybe 6 inches. And they used to turn it to where it opened up, so when this is up, it opens up this way. So if it rains, technically it doesn't have a rain sensor. Rain just gonna come straight down in it. They did it the other way on one of their first builds, apparently, to where when you open it up, it would be kind of perfect, but then someone left it up and drove and it ripped it right off. And so to alleviate that, I thought about that when I first ordered this, but it's fine. It doesn't bother me. If it's raining, you're probably going to close it anyway. So yeah, I'm 100% satisfied with it. There's nothing that has really been, you know, something that I was like, I just really don't like, or this sucks, or this, you know, I can't believe that, you know. It's all minor stuff. 100% satisfied. Customer service great. They've been over backwards, and I've had no major issues, and I've used the crap out of this thing. I mean, in the 2 months I've had it, you know, I've probably got at least a month, if not a month and a half, logged in, you know, staying in it, sleeping in it, everywhere from snow to high elevation, low elevation, desert, heavy winds, you name it, I've been in it. And the only major thing that's been like, you know, what the heck is this condensation buildup in these lights, which again, it's the first time they've heard of it. They've never seen it before. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this helped out. If you considering the Treehouse, it's a really good brand. If you have any other questions, you can leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. I've got more content coming, a lot more content coming actually. Now that I just finished with school, my primary focus is going to be you guys here on the YouTube channel. And so I've got some changes coming to the solar setup. I'm going to have another review of the X-Bull winch. It's still going strong, and it's a budget winch that's, you know, just kind of, I put it on there and I've used it quite a few times, and it's never failed me, and it's a cheapo. And so, you know, I've got a lot of good content coming, and I appreciate everyone's support. And with the views and the positive feedback on my channel. You can also check me out on Instagram at GladOverland, and also I have gladoverland.com, G-L-A-D-D overland.com, and it'll just link you to my YouTube videos, my Instagram page, and then I have upcoming events for, you know, whatever's going on out in the world, Expo and other overlanding events that are going to be going on out there, and I try to keep it updated as best as possible. Again, thank you for watching, and remember to get outside. Even if you can only get outside in a very small capacity with what's going on in the current world today, still get outside. There's nothing wrong with coming out into vast openness, and just kind of hanging out and becoming, you know, in tune with nature and you know, getting some bushcrafting skills or whatever. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.